It's now recording. Introduce your name for the record.
My name is Vix Lowthion. I'm the prospective parliamentary candidate for the Green Party on the Isle of Wight.
Excellent, sir. What are your thoughts on the fact that Theresa May has formally triggered Article 50?
I think even though we've formally triggered it, it doesn't mean that we cannot overturn that. 2 years is a very long time for us to see the effects and the fallout of us committing to leaving the European Union and the customs union and all its conciliaries. So I think that it will take a very long time for us to think through the processes, and it doesn't mean that it cannot be overturned.
Indeed, you are correct. Someone pointed out that Article 50 can be reversed, but it would be very difficult.
It would be difficult, and it would require the European Union nations to also understand that, and for us to perhaps have a different government and a different leader. But a lot of things can change within 2 years. A week is a long time in politics. 2 years definitely is an eternity.
Yes, it's a whole era. I mean, a whole prime minister's to. Do you believe that the EU referendum result was democratic and fair?
I think you can say it's democratic because it was everybody could vote. Whether the actual process and the information people were given was fair, that can be argued against.
Right. Some people have called for a second EU referendum. Do you believe this is feasible and justified?
I think that is justified when you look at the terms in which we're going to leave, and the public should have a say on that. I don't think there should just be another rerun. We shouldn't have a rerun, but we should definitely go back to the people about what sort of Britain we want to be outside of the European Union. And we do not have any evidence to categorically say whether the public want to leave the whole entire European economic area, which is what Theresa May seems to believe that she has the mandate to do.
Yes. I mean, did you vote Remain or Leave in the referendum?
I voted to Remain.
I understand. How important is the single market to you?
To me personally, in the job that I do in education, it doesn't seem to be immediately prevalent, but for the nation to, for looking at us as an island, the impact of us leaving the customs union, the single market, from the Isle of Wight point of view, I see that we are limited in the amount of things that can come and go every day. And as an island, we're going to be limited in things that can come and go if everything is going to have to go through the customs and everything is going to have to be checked. Just the sheer practicalities, never mind the economic argument that we should be able to sell things across borders and with our European neighbours and also buy them back. It's reciprocal, and therefore it benefits us as well as benefiting the European Union.
I understand. I mean, if it wasn't possible to stop Brexit itself, would you support what has been called a Norwegian-style solution, where we end up leaving the EU but staying in the single market, which is the case with Iceland, Liechtenstein, Norway and Switzerland?
I think definitely that sort of model should be taken seriously and serious consideration. It was given serious consideration in the lead up to the referendum vote. People were led to believe by the Leave campaign that was an option to be like Norway, and that seems to be taken away from us. We should really be looking more closely at that model for us in the future, yes.
Indeed. I mean, what do you imagine a Green Brexit would look like? A Green Brexit has to take serious consideration of agriculture, fisheries, all of those sorts of things. And there are actual positives that we can take. A Brexit will involve wiping what was being done for the last 40 years and re-evaluating the sorts of green policies we want to put forward. And we've got a much stronger politically Green Party across in our local councils, in the European Parliament, leaders in Westminster than we did have when we first went into the European community 40 years ago. So I think we can put forward those policies much clearer. So we could take that opportunity, and we will do. And I can see that Molly Scott-Cato has already been leading that with the sort of Green Brexit opportunities that she could see. But I see no evidence in our government even mentioning climate change, never mind all the other things that the Green Party stand for. Yes, thank you for this interview, Vix. I'll be posting my podcast shortly. It's been a pleasure interviewing you.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.